The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says the United States requests for Afghan refugees' temporary stay in the Philippines are being carefully reviewed. The other co-accused of former Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag and former Deputy Security Officer Ricardo Zulueta in the killing of June Villamor plead guilty to lesser offenses. Senate President Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri maintains that the correction on the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund went through the proper process. And know the charges and potential punishment faced by the person who coordinated the missile strike in eastern Ukrainian city last Tuesday. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, the 29th of June, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the United States' request for Afghan refugees' temporary stay in the Philippines and its possible impact on national security are being carefully weighed. Nel Maribuhok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Baird, there is yet to be a deal between the Philippines and United States on the request to house Afghan refugees in the country. The matter, he said, will have to be further studied and see if it would work.
Well, there are many issues involved in that question. That's why I was a little surprised when I saw some of the news reports. There is a deal between the U.S. There's no deal. We're still looking exactly at how to make it work if we can. It's entirely possible that we will not find a way to make it happen.
The president acknowledged multiple issues involved such as security, legal, and logistics. Although the Philippines has long tradition of taking in refugees like what it did during World War II, President Marcos said the case of the Afghan nationals involved is different.
The security issues, of course, we have to be conscious of that. But there are even more difficult legal and logistical issues, because if the plan, as it stands, runs exactly as it's planned, di maganda, wala tayong problema. But what plan ever ran exactly as you had hoped? So what we're trying to say, what if something goes wrong? Paano kung magka-delay? Paano kung hindi tanggapin yung tao? Yun yung aming pinag-uusapan. And we're continuing because we want to help.
He stressed that although there is yet to be a deal between the Philippines and U.S., they continue to discuss the matter as the country wants to help. The chief executive added that there's still quite a few issues that he has to hammer out with the Americans. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, high-profile inmate Jad Dera and 6 other National Bureau of Investigation or NBI security officers attended in today's preliminary investigation of the complaints against them at the Department of Justice or DOJ. They filed their counter affidavits denying the allegation of allegedly conniving to allow Dera in and out of the NBI detention center.
Wala hong nagtuturo na kaya lumalabas dahil sa pera. Walang umamin, walang nagtuturo po. Sa counter affidavit naman ni Jadera, of course, he denies yung sinasabing pagbibigay ng pera para lang makalabas ng NBI detention.
Dera's lawyer, attorney Raymond Palad, said the complaint is now submitted for resolution. They are expecting 2 weeks for the resolution to be out. The other co-accused, former Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag and former Deputy Security Officer Ricardo Zulueta, pleaded guilty over the murder of inmate June Villamor. Dante Amento tells us why.
8 accused in the murder of the alleged middleman and inmate June Villamor pleaded guilty to a lesser offense. They are co-accused of former Bureau of Corrections or Bucor Chief Gerald Bantag and Security Officer Ricardo Zulueta, Mario Alvarez, Christian Ramac, Ricky Salgado, Ronnie De La Cruz, and Joel Reyes pleaded guilty as accomplices to the crime of murder. They were sentenced to 6 up to 14 years of imprisonment and ordered to pay a total of 225,000 pesos damages. Alvin Labra, Aldrin Galisa, and Joseph Jorfo also pleaded guilty as accessories to the crime. 2 to 8 years of imprisonment is imposed against them.
Admission na po yan, no, na inihain sa korte. So kumbaga parang final na po yung mga statements nila. And this shows na meron talaga silang participation dun sa pagpatay ni Percy Lapid at kay June Villamor.
The Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 206, on the other hand, ordered to archive the case of Bantag and Zulueta subject for revival if they will be arrested.
Yung archive po, ibig sabihin lang yan ay hindi tumatakbo. Kasi kung hindi mo naman i-archive yan, magkakaroon ng problema sa docket administratively yung korte. Kasi dapat yung mga kasong ganyan ay hindi dapat mabinbin.
Meanwhile, Bantag's lawyer, attorney Rocky Balisong, said it is the right of the accused to plead guilty. And regarding the archiving of the case is correct because the court has no jurisdiction yet over Bantag and Zulueta. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, 13 foreign nationals among the 2,714 workers rescued from an illegal Philippine offshore gaming operator in Las Piñas City were injured. This is due to an alleged escape attempt on Thursday morning, June 29. PNP spokesperson Police Captain Michelle Sabino said that 8 of the injured individuals needed medical attention while 5 others suffered minor injuries. Police stated that the incident occurred when some foreign nationals became upset upon seeing a number of Filipinos who were also rescued during the raid being processed and released. Some of the angry foreign nationals allegedly attempted to jump over the high fence with electric barbed wires.
Yung mga foreign nationals, kaya natin sila pinagbabawalan pa munang lumabas because pinaprocess pa sila. Tinitignan pa natin kung meron silang link sa mga crimes na pwede nating makita, lalo na sa mga computer-related na mga cases.
The situation is now under control with NCRPO SWAT teams deployed in the area.
And for our news abroad, following Russia's missile strikes in Kramatorsk, Ukraine's security services have identified and arrested the Russian agent responsible for the attack. Nida Sadanda will give us the details live. Good evening, Nidasa.
Good evening, Giona. Ukraine's security services have continued to conduct operations to rescue trapped civilians after Russia's missile attacks on Tuesday, June 27. In his recent briefing, President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his condolences while announcing a further 7 deaths caused by the strike, increasing the total to 11. Additionally, more than 60 people were injured or wounded. In addition, Zelensky also provided an update regarding the person behind the attack.
Сьогодні працівники Служби безпеки України разом з спецпризначенцями поліції затримали особу, яка скоригувала цей удар терористів. Проходить за статтею про державну зраду, можливе покарання, включно з пожиттєвим.
Zelensky emphasized that Russia and its accomplices deserve maximum punishment and must be held accountable for their actions. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claimed that it was targeting a military unit despite the area being crowded with civilians, according to Kramatorsk governor. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Nidasa, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, Giona. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Senate leadership remains firm that the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund or MIF bill was not tampered. Senate President Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri maintains that the correction on the conflicting provisions on prescription period went through the proper process. According to Zubiri, there is no malice or ill intent in correcting the provision and that they only followed what was approved in the plenary.
There's no such thing as tampering. There was never a plan to tamper. There was no tampering that took place.
However, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel believes what was done in the MIF bill was not usual, calling the act a sneaky tampering. The minority senator notes that no bicameral conference was made where the conflicting provisions can be harmonized, maintaining that the approved version of the Senate cannot be amended. For now, Zubiri says House Speaker Martin Romualdez is expected to sign the MIF bill on Monday and will be transmitted to Malacanang also next week. Meanwhile, the possibility of El Nino occurrence is continuously increasing. Philippine Weather Bureau Pag-asa's warning system for the phenomenon may be upgraded by next month. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Philippine Weather Bureau Pag-asa may issue an El Nino advisory in July. This will happen if the ocean temperature remains consistent for the 3 consecutive months. The Weather Bureau already issued an El Nino alert in May this year. The Climate Prediction Section of NOAA has already confirmed that El Nino conditions are occurring. However, Pag-asa uses different parameters to declare that El Nino is already happening.
So what if weak El Nino at napakataas ng uncertainty? So kaya ang kino-consider po natin is yung 3-month average kasi it happened before na may mga nagpo-pronounce sa mga international prediction centers na merong El Nino condition pero hindi naman po siya natutuloy na maging full-blown event. So yun po yung iniiwasan natin.
Before the year ends, Pag-asa projects that around 38 provinces will experience below normal rainfall. Meanwhile, around 3 to 4 tropical cyclones may enter the Philippine area of responsibility in July based on Pag-asa's projection.
Possible ito mag-landfall dito sa may mainland Luzon or eastern Visayas or mag-enhance ng habagat dito sa western sides of Luzon and Visayas, kaya lagi po tayong magmamonitor.
But according to the Hydrometeorological Division of Pag-asa, the rainfall in July may not be sufficient to significantly increase the water level of Angat Dam. By the end of next month, it may reach 183.78 meters or a few meters higher compared to the normal operating level of 180 meters.
Kung pagbabasehan natin yung normal recovery ng Angat Dam, halos second week ng July up to third week, doon nag-uumpisa yung recovery ng Angat Dam. Yun yung kasagsagan ng may mga bagyo na ang track niya is dumadaan sa Central Luzon.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Agriculture, or DA, has ensured that the supply of rice in the country is sufficient until the third quarter of 2023. Kadiwa store in Elliptical Circle in Quezon City is selling cheap rice priced at 25 pesos per kilogram. Customers are limited to purchasing up to 4 kilograms only. According to Edna Arnado, Vice President for Sales and Marketing of Unigrow Philippines, the supply of rice to Kadiwa stores will last until August.
As far as our national rice program is concerned, production is high. That is a good news po kasi at least mas marami pong local production. Meron pa rin po tayong importation as augmentation, but bottom line is we are sufficient.
Meanwhile, residents in Las Piñas City and some parts of Cavite will experience water service interruptions until August, according to Maynilad Water Services. The water concessionaire states that this is due to the replacement of the ultrafiltration membrane in the Putatan water treatment plant. Bernadette Tinoy will tell us why.
Maynilad Water Services has announced that they will replace the first batch of ultrafiltration membrane in Putatan Water Treatment Plant 2. The agency has advised its customers from Las Piñas City and some parts of Cavite that they will experience water service interruptions from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. until the month of August.
Kailangan namin palitan ang UF membrane or ang main treatment process na sa aming Putatan Water Treatment Plant para mas mapabuti ang performance nito sa paglilinis ng tubig.
Places that are affected include Doña Josefa Village in Almanza 1, Pag-asa Compound in Pilar, BF Resort Village in Talon 2, and Agra Homes 1 and 2 in Talon 5. Madel Zaide from Maynilad stated that they will assess the actual impact of the National Water Resources Board's or NWRB 50 cubic meters allocation.
Magkakaroon man ng epekto ang 50 CMS allocation nitong Hulyo, tinitiyak namin na magiging mas maayos ang sitwasyon ngayon kumpara noong April 1 to 15 dahil nga Hulyo na at tag-ulan na, meron tayong mga karagdagang water supply.
Meanwhile, some residents in Las Piñas City observed the water service interruptions while others were not informed of the advisory.
Nawawala ng tubig, babalik, mayroong. Wala namang humihina lang siya tapos babalik, malakas ulit.
Hindi naman nawala kahapon. Malakas naman yung tubig namin Pero kung mga 4 to 5 days na yon, maghanap na kayo magde-deliver.
Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The search and rescue operation for the 6 missing fishermen in Davao Oriental has been terminated. As a result of authorities' investigation, it is suspected that 6 more fishermen may be trapped inside the sunken fishing boat. The Genesis 2 fishing boat sank on June 22nd at a distance of 182 nautical miles from Banganga, Davao Oriental, with 23 fishermen on board. 14 fishermen were rescued and 3 bodies were recovered by the authorities. The fishing boat sank at approximately 5,000 feet.
King Charles III ordered that the heating in the royal residences be turned down in order to reduce emissions. Jane Robles details why.
In order to reduce emissions, King Charles III ordered that the heating in royal residences be turned down. Inflation has taken a toll on the British royals' budgets, pushing up spending, according to Buckingham Palace on Thursday, June 29. The monarch wants thermostats set down to 19 degrees Celsius to decrease greenhouse gas emissions, according to the annual Sovereign Grant Report, which discloses the royals' taxpayer-funded expenditure and revenue in line with his long-term environmental advocacy. The Royal Treasurer Michael Stevens said that he does not need to remind that this reporting period corresponds to a year in which inflationary pressures caused the prices of numerous goods and services to rise dramatically, particularly the cost of fuel and energy. Royal expenditures increased by 5% to £107.5 million, with staff expenses rising significantly, while the sovereign grant based on surplus revenue from the Crown Estate, a property portfolio belonging to the monarchy, remained at £86.3 million, and additional income dropped slightly to £9.8 million. According to the report, the percentage of ethnic minority employees remained at 9.7%, falling short of the 10% target set for the end of 2022. It has set a new target of 14% by 2025. Meanwhile, Stevens stated that gas and heating emissions were down 19%, due in part to the monarch turning down the thermostats and that travel emissions were down 43%. Jane Robles, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The debris from the OceanGate Titan submersible, which imploded and killed 5 people near the Titanic, has been retrieved. The debris, including human remains from the implosion, was brought to Canadian land 650 kilometers from the site yesterday by Horizon Arctic using a remotely operated vehicle. These were found 4 days after the submersible lost contact with the Polar Prince within 1 hour and 45 minutes into their expedition. The debris found on the seabed 488 meters from the Titanic's bow. Pelagic Research Services, who own the vehicle use, states that while offshore operations are completed, the mission is ongoing and undergoing demobilization. The chair captain of the Marine Board of Investigation, Jason Neubauer, stated that the evidence collected will provide critical insight in the cause of the event, ensuring that it is never repeated. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard will move the collected remains to a U.S. port and from then will be inspected by medical professions for formal analysis. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Pravado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board approves a 40 peso increase in the minimum wage of non-agriculture workers, making it to 610 pesos a day. According to Wage Order NCR-24, which was issued on Tuesday, the approved increase of 40 pesos will raise the minimum wage in the NCR to 573 pesos for agricultural workers as well as for service, retail, and manufacturing establishments with fewer than 15 or 10 workers, respectively. This adjustment brings the previous minimum wages of 570 pesos and 533 pesos to new rates. The approved increase is slightly over half of the proposed 150 across-the-board daily minimum wage hike that is currently progressing in the Senate. This raises the minimum wage in the capital to a level that is only 140 short of the 750 daily national minimum wage being advocated by labor groups. The 4 teams that will compete in the playoffs of the UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off are now complete. Who are the teams that will advance to the next round of the Public Servants League? Rina Villamor Camara reports.
GSIS Fury saw their last action at the UNTV Cup Executives face-off against the #1 team in the standing, the PNP Responders. The Furies were in a high morale and positive attitude taking after the game, while the PNP is eyeing the twice-to-beat advantage on this match. It was a slow start for the Furies, who were stopped by the joint tandem of De Mesa and Martirez from the police squad. (33-11) at the end of the early quarter. GSIS attempted to control the game by making it fast, however it did not stop PNP from giving a 15-point lead in the scoreboards at the end of the half. 53-28. GSIS also had a hard time to go down on defense, which retained the advantage of PNP 85-40 at the finish of the third quarter mark. At the final buzzer, PNP took control of the entire boards and got their twice-to-beat advantage in the playoffs with the help of Police Colonel Joel De Mesa, who dominated with 40 solid points, and Police Colonel Pedro Martirez with 23 points on the first game.
Ang ginawa namin, talagang no mercy kami, napag-usapan namin. Kailangan namin di sila pagbigyan. Kailangan ipanalo namin itong last game namin na elimination. Kung kaya nating tabakan natin. Parang ito na yung ensayo natin na hindi tayo nakukompleto, sir. Sabi ko sa kanila, dito natin gagawin.
Meanwhile, it's going to be a deciding game between the AFP Cavaliers and the Judiciary Magic on whose team will make it in the next round in the playoffs, joining the PNP Responders, OP Executives, and the Senate Sentinels. Both teams, under the helm of Coach Sunny Manukat and Muriel Garcia, have sharpened their skills for this game. A complete attendance from the 13-man lineup of the Magic, from which some came from different provinces, to show a strong force against their rival, the Cavaliers. AFP completely dominated the offense at the start of the match, which stopped the Magic from making baskets at the first 7 minutes of action. 0 out of 18 attempts for the Magic in the first quarter, giving the 16-7 lead to the AFP. It was points after points for the Cavaliers in the second quarter, while the Magic had a hard time bringing down the ball and guarding their opponent. Yet the great lead did not stop Joey Abot, who was nursing a knee injury, and Judge Quijano Laure to boost the morale of the Magic. It was 30-17 in favor of the AFP at the end of the first half. Nevertheless, the Magic tried to step up their game on the second half with the early points given by Laure and Toma Cruz, to which Captain Yamamoto and Colonel Humalesa easily responded. Magic gave their fans excitement as they reduced the lead to 14 before the start of the fourth quarter. On the last 10 minutes of action, the Magic fired up with 5 points, 3 from Justice Midas Marquez and 2 from Judge Julius Hava. It was really the big heart and the fighting spirit of the Magic that was seen all throughout the game. But in the end, Magic failed to bring down the lead to a single digit, which gave the AFP their ticket to the playoffs. Colonel Marlo Humalesa and Colonel Jonathan Abutin were chosen best players of the game with 13 and 11 points respectively.
Siyempre, gusto namin manalo. Nasunod naman lahat ng game plan namin eh. Yun nga lang, yun, sa basketball, dalawa lang talaga mananalo. Pero since siguro mas prepared ang AFP sa amin, sila yung nanalo.
Our job is not that yet. We have to gonna face PNP for the playoff. So, we'll do our best para makapasok sa finals.
Watch out for the playoffs this coming July 2 at the Novodesi Convention Center, where the PNP will face the AFP and Senate Sentinels fighting against the OP Executives. PNP and Senate has the twice-to-beat advantage on that game. Rina Villamor Camara, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our kasangbahay as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of Isaiah chapter 34 verse 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, no one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate, for my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." Those are the reasons behind the news, June 29, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.